Discovered hidden cameras in our bedroom. My husband was secretly filming me and uploading the videos while pretending to nurse me through COVID. Last Friday evening, I, 34F, went over to Kate's place. She's a younger coworker of mine, 24, though that's not her real name. She'd asked if we could talk privately about something important, and I didn't think much of it at the time. We've always had a close friendship outside of work, almost like she's my little sister. We've been colleagues for nearly 3 years now, and we've grown pretty close, so when she said she needed to talk, I didn't hesitate to say yes. When I arrived at her apartment, I could tell something was off. She was pacing around her living room, clearly anxious, and wouldn't even make eye contact. She said she needed to tell me something serious but didn't know how to start. I told her to just rip the band-aid off and come out with it, but she kept stalling and insisted on making tea first, which only made me more nervous. She brought out 2 mugs, set them on the table, and then just stood there, fiddling with her sleeves like she was about to fall apart. Eventually, after what felt like forever, she sat down across from me, took a deep breath, and said she'd come across 2 explicit videos online of a woman she believed was me. At first, I actually laughed. I told her there's no way that could be possible. But she was convinced. She kept saying the woman looked exactly like me. I still insisted she had to be mistaken, until she opened her laptop and showed me the videos. And she was right. I have never recorded myself naked or during sex, not even with my husband. But there I was, clear as day, in 2 separate videos. One was about 7 minutes long, the other just over 4. Both were filmed in what used to be our old bedroom. The angle made it obvious, like a camera had been hidden inside the ceiling light fixture or something. It was definitely me. And without question, it was definitely our room. As I watched those videos in complete shock, it slowly started to click. Someone had recorded me without my knowledge. And the only person who could have done that was my husband. Still, I pushed the thought away, clinging to any other explanation I could come up with. Maybe it was some mistake, maybe our security system had been hacked somehow. I was desperate to believe anything but the most obvious conclusion. Kate kept asking if I was alright, but I was so out of it I could barely respond. I ended up leaving her place in a daze, barely processing anything she said. Later, she texted me saying she had already contacted the site to request the videos be taken down, and that she'd help me go through whatever came next. She also mentioned she'd started searching the web to see if there were more. I still don't fully understand how she found them. When I asked, she said a guy she was seeing had sent her the link because the woman in the video reminded him of someone he knew. He had no clue it was actually me. He just thought there was a resemblance. That part makes me feel sick. The idea that some random creep could have recognized me in public from those videos? It's horrifying. I keep imagining strangers looking at me, knowing. I didn't go home right away. I just drove around for hours, sobbing, screaming, completely out of control. At one point, I pulled into a gas station and threw up in the bathroom. The attendant actually asked if I was pregnant, and I almost laughed. If only it were something that simple. Eventually, around midnight, I made my way back home, hoping my husband would already be asleep so I wouldn't have to see his face. I didn't confront him. I just quietly went through the house, tearing through drawers and closets, searching for anything that might explain what I saw. While he snored away peacefully in our bedroom, I found it. Tiny cameras hidden in places I never would have thought to look. One was inside the ceiling light in our bedroom, just like I'd suspected. Another was hidden inside the bathroom vent. And a third was tucked between books on the shelf, pointed directly at our bed. The moment I found them, I almost screamed. But somehow, I kept quiet. I took photos of them in place but didn't remove them. Maybe it was shock. Maybe I needed proof. I honestly don't even know. The rest of that night was just hours of throwing up, crying, and begging God to wake me from whatever nightmare this was. I'm a devout Muslim woman. I wear the niqab by choice and have never been with anyone other than my husband. And all this time, he's been secretly recording me and sharing it with strangers. I keep praying, but it feels like the comfort I usually find in faith has vanished. All that remains is a deep, suffocating sense of betrayal. I can't stop thinking, who else has seen me? How far has this gone? Since that night, I've locked myself in our guest room, pretending I caught COVID so I don't have to see him. My husband has no clue I know what he's done. He knocks on the door occasionally, asking if I need food or medicine. He even offered to order some of my favorite takeout, trying to cheer me up. I want to scream. How can he act so normal? So kind? So thoughtful? Knowing what he's done to me? Every time he leaves for work, I keep searching. I went through the garage and found a hard drive hidden deep in his toolbox. What was on it shattered me. Dozens of videos. Dozens. Going back nearly 2 years. Footage of me doing everyday things, getting dressed, showering, sleeping. Some of them are just me alone. Others are of us together. Private moments I thought were sacred. Violated. I copied several of the videos onto a USB drive for evidence. Then I carefully returned the hard drive to where it was so he wouldn't notice. And now I sit here, overwhelmed with pain I don't even know how to process. I haven't told a soul outside of Kate. I'm terrified. Not because I'm afraid of violence. My family isn't like that. They would absolutely support me if they knew. In fact, I think they'd insist I leave him. My brothers never liked my husband. Said from the beginning something about him felt off. I guess he saw what I couldn't. In my country, we have secular courts, but also religious courts that can rule on certain matters as long as it doesn't clash with civil law. I plan to take this to both. I want justice. Real justice. Just to be clear, I wear the niqab entirely by choice. Most women here don't, and my husband never pressured me to. I was veiled before I ever met him. He always supported my independence, or so I thought. Maybe that, too, was a lie. I know people will wonder if this was some kind of religious control thing. It's not. Kate and I don't share the same faith, or even dress similarly, and yet we've always been close. None of this was ever about control. Until now. Right now, I'm just sitting here in the guest room, the door locked, while he watches TV like nothing has happened. I don't even know how to begin confronting him without breaking down. Should I go to the police first? Talk to a lawyer? I think tomorrow I'll finally call my brother. He's a lawyer, not in this field, but he'll know someone who can help. I can't keep hiding like this. I can't pretend to be sick forever. Update 1. A lot of you had different opinions, but the overwhelming majority said I should leave first and deal with everything else later. That's exactly what I did. To the person who suggested I should just sit down and talk it out with my husband, are you serious? The man secretly filmed me for years. There is no sitting down and having a heart-to-heart about that. Some things go way beyond discussion. So yes, I left. I waited until he went to work on Tuesday. The night before, I contacted a moving company and scheduled them to come early in the morning. When they arrived, we quickly packed what I needed: clothes, personal essentials, important documents, and my late grandmother's jewelry. There was no way I was leaving that behind. I couldn't stop crying the entire time. I was a mess. Even the movers looked concerned, and one of them gave me his sister's number in case I needed to talk to someone. I never called. The last thing I needed was to involve more strangers in something this humiliating. After that, I went straight to my parents' house. I sat down with them and my siblings and told them everything. My parents were, and still are, completely baffled. They're older and don't really get how the internet works. They just kept saying things like, "Okay, we'll talk to the people and it'll be gone," as if I could just call up Google and make the problem disappear. My siblings, though, understood. They were angry. They were heartbroken. My brother kept repeating that he knew something wasn't right about my husband from the start. My sister broke down crying with me. And my other brother, there are 3 of us, wanted to go confront my husband immediately. We eventually convinced him to wait until my husband got home from work. I just lay on my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling while they talked logistics around me, like I was frozen in place. Later that day, my siblings and a couple of my brothers-in-law went with me back to my old house. We waited for him. When he finally came home, he was clearly caught off guard. He acted confused, asking why I wasn't in bed sick with COVID and why everyone was there. At first, he denied everything, played the offended victim, like we were accusing him of something outrageous. My brothers didn't let him get away with it. They didn't touch him, but they made it clear he wasn't going anywhere until we got the truth. Eventually, he started talking. He admitted it. Said he had done it because he was depressed, addicted to porn and sex, and that he didn't think anyone would ever see the videos. He tried to downplay it, claimed he'd only posted a handful of videos. When we asked him for a number, he said somewhere between 5 and 8. That's a blatant lie. I've seen the hard drive. There are dozens. We forced him to take the videos down, but let's be honest, once it's online, it's out there forever. There's no way to know how many times they've been downloaded or shared. Then came another blow. We found out he had a secret phone. Turns out he'd also been cheating on me with random women and sex workers. All those times I thought he was busy working? Nope. He was out violating our marriage and disgracing himself. As he confessed one sick thing after another, I just sat there, numb. It was like I was listening to a stranger. All his talk about depression and addiction, it just sounded like excuses. I don't care what his reasons were. He did what he did. That's what matters. At one point, he asked to use the bathroom, and somehow, while in there, he managed to call his mother. Within minutes, she showed up with his brother and cousins in tow. Things got heated. They were furious at how we were treating their family member. Voices were raised. My brothers shouted back. Neighbors started stepping outside to see what was going on. Eventually, things calmed down enough for us to explain what he had actually done. I couldn't bring myself to speak, so my sister stepped in and told them everything. His mother fainted. She's not in good health to begin with, so we called for an ambulance. Her sons and nephews looked stunned. His brother, who had come in defensive, now looked like he wanted to tear him apart. The cousins just stood there in disbelief. A neighbor had also called the police because of the noise, and by the time the ambulance showed up for my mother-in-law, the cops arrived as well. That's when things took another wild turn. I was arrested. Apparently, in all the chaos, I had slapped my husband. I don't even remember doing it. I was so overwhelmed and enraged and heartbroken that my mind just blacked out for parts of it. But yeah, they cuffed me for assault. He didn't press charges, though, so I was released the next morning. I went back to my parents' place and just broke down again. They kept crying, which only made me cry harder. They still don't fully understand what's happening, but they know their daughter is hurting, and that's enough for them to be devastated. A few days later, I met with some lawyers my sister had contacted. They specialize in cases involving non-consensual material online. They've been in touch with the police, helped me file formal charges, and are working on getting the videos removed from as many platforms as possible. I also started divorce proceedings. The legal process is going to be messy, especially with the criminal case involved, but the attorneys assured me I shouldn't have to face him during court. I also went to the clinic and got tested. So far, no STDs, thank God, but I have a follow-up scheduled just to be safe. At one point, I spoke with his mother. She actually apologized to me, even though none of this is her fault. She said she understood my need for justice but begged me to let the law handle it and not do anything that could put me or someone else in danger. She's a good woman. I feel awful that she has to live with the reality of the son she raised. Meanwhile, he's gone into hiding, but he still finds ways to contact me. He keeps calling and texting from unknown numbers. One minute, he's groveling, saying he's sorry and asking for forgiveness. The next, he's raging, blaming me, threatening me. Yesterday, he actually had the nerve to text me saying this was my fault because I was cold in bed. As if that somehow justifies filming me without my knowledge and uploading it to the internet. I've been saving every text he sends. My lawyer told me to document everything. It all helps build the case. Right now, I'm just surviving day by day. It's been 2 weeks since I found out, and it still doesn't feel like real life. Some days, I can almost function. Other days, I can't even make it out of bed. A lot of you are asking for an update, so here it is. I'll share more if anything big happens. Update 2. To the commenter who asked if I somehow led him on seriously? He was my husband. We had a regular intimate life. We were in a committed marriage. And even if I had been cold in bed, I wasn't. That would never justify what he did. What is wrong with some of you? Things have only gotten worse. I don't even know how that's possible. He's managed to completely destroy not just my peace of mind, but everything I'd built. I had to quit my job. Because of the way I dress, finding work isn't exactly easy to begin with. But I couldn't stay. I worked at a community center with children, and now I'm seen as a risk. Some of the mothers started hearing rumors, some of the men too, and people began acting differently. Husbands were saying weird things. Wives were pulling their children away from me. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, I became the problem. At first, my boss tried to be understanding. She told me to take all the time I needed, that my job would be there when I was ready. But then the calls started. Then the emails. Then a man actually showed up asking for me by name. He said he saw me online. Security had to escort him out. After the third incident like that, my boss called me into her office. When I met with my boss after the third security incident, she told me very gently that while she personally supported me, she had to think about the safety of the children and the other staff members. I didn't argue. I understood. I handed in my resignation the next day. Since then, things have only gotten worse. Fathers have stared at me with disgust or made degrading comments right to my face. One of them actually offered me money in exchange for sex. I've been catcalled more in these last few months than I ever have in my entire life. Men stare at me openly. One even followed me out of my dentist's office, then grabbed me in the street. I screamed, and he just ran away laughing. I filed a report with the police, but they said they couldn't do much unless I could identify him. They just added it to the ever-growing case file. Random men have been calling my phone, my family's house, even my old office, just to insult and threaten me. Turns out, my husband had posted all my personal info online, my address, phone number, email, even where I worked. Everything. I've already changed my phone number 3 times, but every time I do, somehow it gets leaked again. Now, I don't answer calls unless I know the number. But that doesn't help much, these guys just leave vile, graphic voicemails instead. Last week someone sent pizzas to our house. Sounds harmless, right? But it was 15 pizzas, paid in cash. The delivery guy said he was told to give a message to the porn star to check her email. When I did, I found over 100 new messages. Most were links to the leaked videos. The rest were messages from men detailing what they'd like to do to me. My brother has moved in temporarily to keep me and our parents safe, but he has his own family to take care of. He can't guard me forever. Then things somehow got even worse. My lawyers, through their investigators, discovered that my husband had been drugging me using my own prescribed medications. I've dealt with migraines and insomnia for years and take meds for both. He used that as his opening. He was using those meds to knock me out, assault me in my sleep, record it, and upload it. And to make it even more revolting, he bragged about it in an online forum full of other predators. They cheered him on, told him how clever he was for using my medication. I was physically sick for hours when I learned that. I mean, all those nights I thought I was just in a deep sleep, all those mornings I woke up feeling groggy or off and blamed it on my health. He had been drugging me, assaulting me, recording me, and showing it to complete strangers. The man I married, who I shared my life with, is nothing but a monster wearing a human mask. And now, just to twist the knife deeper, he's been telling people that I knew about the cameras, that I was in on it, that I encouraged him to post it. He's been spreading lies, painting me as some kind of exhibitionist. And worst of all, some people believe him. People I thought were friends are now giving me these suspicious looks, like they're wondering if it's true. A woman from my prayer group even pulled me aside and asked if I liked being watched. I swear, I nearly slapped her. I just stood there, stunned that anyone could actually believe I wanted this. As if that wasn't enough, my husband changed his mind and decided to press charges against me for slapping him during the confrontation. We went to court. Thankfully, the judge and prosecutors were understanding. Between the evidence my lawyers presented and the fact that he had since doxed me, threatened me, lied repeatedly, and even tried to blackmail me, the judge dismissed the case. He even said, on a recorded call, that he only pressed charges to hurt me and admitted the slap wasn't serious. He literally said he'd drop it all if I forgave him. My lawyers took that and tore his case apart with it. Meanwhile, the criminal investigation against him is still ongoing. The prosecutors told me it takes time to build a strong case, especially for cybercrime. And yet, while they work on it, he's still out there, walking free, while I'm stuck hiding in my parents' home like I'm the one who did something wrong. I keep thinking, this has to be rock bottom, but then it gets worse. Someone sent screenshots of the videos to his mother. She collapsed again. This is the second time she's had a medical emergency because of what he's done. Now his whole family is split. Half of them blame me for ruining his life, while the other half are absolutely horrified by what he's done. His brother came to see me in person. He apologized for not seeing his brother's true nature earlier. He even offered to help financially, but I turned it down. I don't want a single thing from that family. I don't even know why I'm writing this update. Maybe just to get it off my chest. To let it out somewhere. I'll post again if anything changes. But for now, I'm just trying to survive one day at a time. Thank you to everyone who's offered kind words. You have no idea how much they mean. Update 3. Some of you have asked how I'm doing. If I've healed. If I'm over it. No. I'm not over it. Not even close. I haven't moved past having my privacy violated in one of the most horrifying ways imaginable. I haven't come to terms with losing my job, my sense of safety, or being treated like a target by complete strangers. This didn't happen years ago. It's been a few months. Healing doesn't happen overnight. I wish I could say I'm better. That things have improved. But the truth is, I'm still struggling. It still hurts. It still feels unreal. And my ex, my soon-to-be ex, is still doing everything he can to make my life harder. He refuses to cooperate with my divorce attorney. He's now on his 3rd lawyer. He keeps getting new ones, and every time he does, we have to start all over again. It's clear he's doing it on purpose, to waste time and drain my resources. Joke's on him, though, my brother is paying for all my legal fees. At our last court appearance, he showed up late and claimed he hadn't been properly notified about the hearing. Then he had the audacity to start crying, saying he still loved me and wanted to reconcile. The judge wasn't buying it but still gave him more time to get his affairs in order. I wanted to scream. When is this going to end? The criminal case for uploading the videos had a court date set, but of course, he requested an extension. And of course, he'll probably get it. His criminal lawyer dropped him too, by the way. so now he's lawyerless on both fronts. It's all just another delay tactic. The prosecutor says this behavior is common among abusers. They manipulate the system to maintain control. And then, like life hadn't already broken me enough, my father passed away about a month ago. My mother, who has advanced dementia, is now in hospice care. We're expecting her to pass soon too. I've been preparing myself for this for a long time, but nothing really makes it easier. My dad had been fighting cancer for almost 3 years. In his final days, he made me promise not to let this whole situation destroy me. He said he knew I'd come through it stronger even if he wouldn't be around to see it. I'm trying to believe that. But some days it feels impossible. I'm grieving my dad, worrying about my mom, and still being dragged through hell by my ex. And then, because apparently he has no sense of decency, he decided to show up at the venue where we held the after-funeral meal. He waited until I was alone, then cornered me while I was helping clean up. When he cornered me at the venue after my father's funeral, I was so emotionally drained I couldn't even muster the anger to chase him off like I had so many times before. I just let him talk. At first, he almost came off as human. He rambled on with a million excuses, crying about how sorry he was, how awful he felt for hurting me. Then, the conversation shifted. He started explaining how he always felt like I was better than him because I earned more, had a higher education, traveled more, carried myself with more confidence. He admitted that those were the traits he found most attractive when we met, but over time, he began to resent them. He said he was bitter because I never wanted to be a stay-at-home wife or mom, even though I was clear about that from the start. He said he felt like he wasn't the man in the marriage because I wouldn't let him have the final say in things. And that frustration, apparently, was the reason he decided to humiliate me. So let me get this straight, he married me for exactly who I was, and then punished me for being that same woman. Make it make sense. He told me he thought marriage would cure him, his depression, his porn and sex addictions, but when it didn't, and he felt like I'd never accept the truth, that just made him angry. Angry enough to punish me for being someone he saw as above him. It was jealousy. Plain and bitter. When I pointed that out, asked him if he hurt me because he felt inferior, he completely lost it. Started yelling that I was twisting his words, that I always misunderstood him, that he knew I'd react this way. I stopped responding and just let him rant. For 3 full hours, I folded chairs and cleaned while he dumped his guilt and excuses all over the room. Somewhere in the middle of it, I zoned out entirely. I was thinking about what I'd eat for dinner while he was pouring out his soul. That's how done I was. But when you stripped it all down, it was simple. He felt inadequate. He was angry that I had a life and a voice of my own. And in his twisted mind, he needed to balance that out by hurting me. He confessed that right before our wedding, he joined some toxic men's group online for addicts. One of the so-called tips they gave was to make your own porn and use that to avoid temptation. But since he knew I'd never agree to that, he decided it was my fault he had to record me secretly. He said he never intended to share it, but one day I upset him so badly that, as punishment, he posted it. And when he felt that rush, when he realized men online were admiring him, praising him, it became a cycle. Every time I made him feel less than, he'd post more. He gained a following. His ego fed off it. And when the videos weren't enough, he started cheating again, picking up random women, hiring sex workers, living a double life. It spiraled. The more he gave into his addictions, the more he resented me. The more I covered for him financially, the more it bruised his fragile ego. And he blamed me for it all. For being competent. For keeping us afloat. For not letting us get evicted just to protect his pride. Now, he wants credit for trying. For going to outpatient rehab. For joining support groups. For, and I quote, not stalking me since my dad died. He thinks that earns him points. He seriously believes I should be proud of him. That I should take him back. In his delusional mind, the fact that he sat there crying and talking for 3 hours should mean something to me. And because I sat through it silently, stone-faced, he called me cold. Heartless. Said I had no soul for ignoring his vulnerability. What's ironic is that during our entire marriage, he barely spoke. He was reserved. Emotionally distant. Now that he's exposed, now that he's lost everything, suddenly he's a man of many words. Suddenly he has feelings. Where was all this emotion when I needed a real partner? Despite his Oscar-worthy performance, I didn't feel a thing. I kept cleaning, packed up what was left at the venue, got in my car, and drove home. I think I said 10 words total during the entire exchange. And yes, I'm still unemployed. Still dealing with disturbing calls at all hours. Still feeling humiliated. And I don't know when or if it's going to end. My brother has been encouraging me to move across the country to live near him. Honestly? I'm considering it. There's nothing left tying me here. My father is gone. My mother barely knows who I am most days. My job is gone. Maybe a fresh start is exactly what I need. There was another court hearing recently. He showed up, once again, with yet another new lawyer who looked just as unprepared as the last. And of course, they asked for yet another extension. It was granted. My lawyer was fuming, but what can you do? The justice system moves at its own, painfully slow pace. So here I am, stuck in limbo. Unable to fully move on while this legal nightmare drags on and on. The only real win lately? Several of the websites finally removed the videos. Some have banned him permanently. Small victories, sure, but I'll take them. My lawyers are still chasing down every upload, but it's like playing whack-a-mole. As soon as one site deletes them, they reappear somewhere else. I'll update again when there's something new. Sorry for the ramble, I just needed to get it out of my system. Thank you for listening. Update 4. Finally, some good news. A while back, I was granted a restraining order. But true to form, he couldn't even respect that. After the umpteenth time calling the police, going to court, and filing complaints, they finally arrested him. And he's been in jail for a little over a month now. For those wondering what finally got him locked up, he showed up at my mother's hospice facility. Claimed he was a family member and nearly made it to her room before security stepped in. When they tried to remove him, he got violent. This time, it wasn't just a warning. He was arrested on the spot for violating the order and for assault. And finally, the divorce is official. At first, I just wanted it done. I told my lawyers to give him whatever he wanted if it meant ending it quickly. But then he kept delaying, asking for more, dragging things out just to torture me. I snapped, told my lawyers to go in swinging. And they did. They hated him. And when we got to court, without him there to derail things, the judge granted everything I asked for. And then some. I'm not trying to gloat, but after everything he put me through, it felt so good to finally win. Watching his lawyer squirm and fumble through the hearing was honestly cathartic. That was the most peaceful month I've had in years. This entire situation took a massive toll on me, physically and mentally. I lost over 12 kilos. My hair started falling out in chunks. But walking out of that courtroom felt like chicken soup for my soul. My sister says I'm starting to look like myself again. I've moved. I now live on the other side of the country in a much smaller city. I found a decent enough job, and I'm slowly rebuilding my confidence. I don't want to share too many details for obvious reasons, but it's quiet here. People are kind. No one knows what I've been through. I've also started therapy. Can't say it's working just yet, but I promised my brother I'd stick with it for 6 months, and I'm halfway there. My therapist keeps asking me to explore my emotions, but I don't really see the point. It happened. It was horrific. Talking it to death won't undo it. Still, I go. Every week. Because I said I would. And because deep down, I think healing might actually come, just not as fast as I want it to. So, that's where I am now. Still healing. Still surviving. But finally, after so much pain, I'm beginning to feel like I'm getting my life back.